I I don't normally comment on these police shootings, which there seems to be an awful lot of police shootings. But this one that happened to Sonia Massey, I believe her name is, in Springfield, Illinois. The cop that shot her, I'm sorry, I got a hair growing out of my lip into my mouth, and I can't get my teeth on it to pull it out. I've just done a little bit of reading on it, and I shouldn't. These things make me so freaking mad. And the reason they make me mad is because in my lifetime of driving an 18-wheeler, these are the kind of cops. I only came in contact with these freaking loons that were not trying to keep people safe and enforce law. They were trying to pull you into and snare you. They would do everything to try to get a reaction where they could legally take it to another level. And I can't tell you how many times I came across cops that would use the same tactics trying to elevate a simple light out ticket into something worse. And how many people don't realize this and they take the bait, and then next thing you know, they're in jail with their vehicle impounded. Well, this particular cop had 3 DUIs. But they hired him anyway. One of them had been dismissed. Who knows how that worked? You know how it works. We all know how it works. Anyway, he had worked at 6 different law enforcement agencies before coming to this particular sheriff's department in Springfield, Illinois, in 4 years. In 4 years, he had been kicked out of 6 different agencies. Not voluntary quit. And now they're digging, trying to find out, what he did beyond his DUIs. And I watched the video. I shouldn't have. It's absolutely infuriating how when these guys get a badge, everybody else, their lives are beneath them and unimportant. And this woman, I could tell just from the few words they said to her that she clearly had mental issues. Something was wrong with her. Maybe... they said to her, "Are you okay mentally?" or something like that. She goes, "Yeah, I'm taking my medicine." So that's a clue that she's got mental issues immediately before they even go in the house. And they did nothing that a normal thinking person would do to de-escalate and calm down a person who was elevated in irritation, aggravation. And these are the kind of cops that I came across. And then later, after they killed this woman, it was one guy that did the shooting, the conversation between the two, they were just absolutely callous. And they were calling her names, around all these other cops that eventually showed up, calling her names that I can't say on YouTube. Their body cams are on and all this is being recorded. And the cop that was with them said, "I'm going to go to my car and get my med kit." And the cop that did the shooting said, "Nah, don't bother, man. I shot her in the head. She's gone." So he goes and gets it anyway, which is procedure. They're supposed to render immediate medical help as soon as a situation that they think is, endangering their lives is over. And the other cop is saying, "No, don't waste your medical kit on her. She's dead, man." And the guy said, "Look, she's still gasping for breath." So the amount of time that they wasted before they called for medical help, who knows? She may not have died. I mean, there's no way of knowing. But if medical help had got there sooner, anyway, and I don't usually do this, but I am in such a state of disbelief that all over our country, this is what we've got for cops now. Even our little town, man, we have some real power-hungry egomaniacs. And I just don't know what else to say. It's scary. And, I got to be careful what I say here, but there's going to come a time when people they're not going to take anymore. I mean, the entire country is armed. And when you have rogue cops, people are just going to have their fill of being abused and take action. Now, what that action is, you be the one to fill in the blanks. I'm not saying I would do anything like that. I am definitely a gray man, quietly living in I'm in my leather shop right now. I just made a pattern for this teeny tiny little knife. Anyway, I got to stop thinking about it. Well, actually, let me just say this. I have about 35 years of coming in contact with every brand and branch of law enforcement as a truck driver. And, I'm a guy who, my paperwork is always tip-top. I's dotted, T's crossed, logbook right up to, the last change of duty status. I never got gigged on paperwork or logbooks because I was always jam up and jelly tight. My equipment was always top notch. If they wanted to write me an equipment violation, they had to lie. And they did. I had many cops pull me over. I think I've told you all the stories. And went so far as to disconnect lights that I know were working. And you could see their fingerprints on the light where they pulled it out and unplugged it and pushed the light back in. Those are the kind of cops I've encountered over and over and over. I had a cop pull me over for speeding one time near Kerrville, Texas, going down a very long hill, 3 a.m. I was the only truck, I was the only vehicle on the highway. And years ago, cops had a sense of honor where they knew that trucks would pick up a little speed going downhill in order to make it up the next hill. And they would leave you alone. If you were on the flat and you were speeding, you're fair game. Well, somewhere along the line, that changed, and you're fair game going downhill where you are most likely to pick up a few miles an hour. And I did. I had a truck at the time that was governed at 65, and I had my cruise set at 65. And I was very heavy, going down a hill, picked up about 6 or 7 miles an hour. And at some point, your Jake brake kicks on and holds you back a little bit. So they pull me over. And first thing I want to do is get in my truck. I said, my wife is sleeping. Get in my truck. Why do you want to get in my truck? What does that have to do with you writing me a speeding ticket? So he gets in my truck. Anyway, with me telling him, no, you're not getting up in my truck. I mean, why you want to search my truck? I'm not like a roadside lawyer, but I'm smart enough to know you don't have a right to get in my truck. What do you suspect me of? You pulled me over for picking up a few miles an hour going downhill. Now you want to escalate it into a vehicle search. Those are the kind of cops I came across daily sometimes. You go through state after state, and every state line you have to deal with scales. And then where there's changes in speed limits, like from Arizona going into California, 75 in Arizona, 55 in California, believe me, they would sit right at the state line. And the second your bumper crossed that state line, you better be doing 55, because at 56, they'd give you a ticket, and I am not exaggerating. Anyway, I'll move on. I am so glad I don't have to be a part of that evil world anymore. And the cops that I have encountered are part of that evil world. The decent, honorable cops that I met I could count on one hand. I'm serious, it's that bad out there. And when there's no one out there, and here's another thing, when you're a truck driver, for some reason in their mind, when you're a truck driver, they have convinced themselves that you're on the same level as a crackhead, meth head, bank robber, not just some guy who's trying to make a successful business, bringing medicine. I hauled military stuff for the military, and never had a wreck. In all those years of driving, I never had a wreck, and I had just a handful of tickets. Oh, them cops that pulled me over on the side of the road for picking up a few miles an hour going downhill in Kerrville, Texas, they didn't even give me a ticket out of it. The guy says, is your wife dressed once he my passenger side door is open. I was going to get out on my driver's side. There's no traffic. It's just him and me, right? Two cops in a car. And they both looked like they were 12 or 13. I'm not kidding. No facial hair, nothing. I was beginning to wonder if they were actually, maybe they stole their daddy's cop car. Well, he says, don't get out on this side. It's too much traffic. And I'm looking at him like, it's just you and I. There's no traffic. There's zero traffic. Other traffic is non-existent. So I said, okay. I close my door and I get out on the passenger side. He's standing on the side where he's telling me there's traffic. It's 3 a.m. There's no traffic. We're in the middle of nowhere. And if you've ever been I-10 in South Texas, I mean, you could go for an hour and not see another vehicle. Maybe back then, maybe now, I don't know. So he says, well, is your wife dressed? He's in my truck at this point. And I said, who goes to bed with her clothes on? My wife is in bed sleeping. We're team driver. This is her turn to sleep. It's my turn to drive. Do you go to bed with your clothes on? Why would my wife go to bed with her clothes on? Who sleeps with her clothes on? And he reluctantly gets out of my truck because he doesn't want some lady waking up and screaming at a stranger in her bunk and her in her, night clothes. This makes me mad because trucking was a great job. I loved it. The worst part of the job was the cops. The evil, corrupt, lying cops. And I met so many of them that it was very, very hard to, I have to think real hard to remember any cops that weren't the worst. Evil liars who wanted to twist the law and try to ensnare you in the justice system and try to elevate a light out ticket to an arrest, or an assault or something like that. I guess they're just bored. Well, anyway, I think they're really having to scrape the bottom of the barrel for cops nowadays because they have such a bad reputation. And I think that bad reputation is, number one, people's experiences with them. And number two, everybody's got a camera now, including their own cameras, which through the Freedom of Information Act, you can get footage, any footage you want. So people are seeing more and more what cops are actually up to. 12 minutes. Wow, I'm sorry. This has really affected me. Another person dead at the hands of cops that did not need to be killed. It reminds me of I think it was Atlanta. A cop pulled a guy over and the guy was running away, posed no threat to the cop's life, and he shot him in the back like 5 times, killed him. That cop went to jail. But see, now these cops are only caught doing, they could say anything they want before body cameras. And I don't think it's gotten worse. I think it's coming out what's been going on because of the body cameras, because everybody's got dash cams and cell phone cameras that you can, now they have glasses with a camera in the center that there's no visible light, so you can talk to somebody and they don't know you're recording them unless they see this tiny little dot in the center. I mean, Team you can get them for $30 or whatever. But nowadays, I don't think cops have gotten actually any worse. I just think that there's more video evidence of how bad they are coming out. And I myself and I'm a law-abiding, I don't speed. You've seen my speedometer often enough when I'm going down the road. I don't speed. I keep my equipment tip-top. I don't attract attention. But I am a guy who still has had to come in contact with the worst of the worst, which now I believe that's nearly all of them, the worst of the worst. Anyway, let's get out of here. I got some leather work to do. I don't know what happened, but somewhere when I started doing the fence back yonder, about that time, I had this sudden dip of complete lack of interest in doing anything knife related. And I have gone through these waves before, and I don't know why. Can't explain it. And You know, I had intentions of coming out here and just forcing myself. I have all those sheaths to make. And for some reason, I just don't want to. I don't want to make knives. I don't want to make sheaths. I really don't know what I want to do. I do want to continue finishing my fence. You know, I've had a lot of projects up in the air. Both bikes, my wife's fender, my front tire. You know, on and on and on. And the fence being one of them. And the truck, needing to get it inspected and registered. I mean, all these things have been just nagging at my brain because I got to get them done. And now I've got both bikes together and running great. Got the truck registered, inspected. All my gas cans are filled. The grass is cut. Usually, that's what keeps me from coming in here and enjoying myself, is all these other nagging things. And now I have just one more thing I got to finish, and that's behind the, you know, down the hill there. I got to do some more brush clearing. I say it like I've done that. Everything back there that's been cleared, my wife did. But if I want to get it done, I'm going to have to get down there with her and do some heavy-duty hard work, so I can finish getting this fence up. Really, that's the only thing that I got hanging in the air that's not done. And for some reason, I just cannot come out here and enjoy myself. And sitting here, I just decided that no matter what, this is a hobby. I don't have any, well, I have one cleaver that somebody is working on paying me for. And, you know, I could go work on that, but right now, I can't put my finger on why. Certainly, it's not, you know, the fact that I've got one last project hanging over me, and that's finishing the fence. But maybe that's it. I don't know. For the life of me, I just cannot come out here and make myself sit. It's got to be the steroids. I'm feeling itchy, like I gotta, you know, my feet are itching. I'll tell you how I'm feeling. Years ago when I was a long-haul trucker, and we would come home, after a few days, man, my feet would itch, my head would itch, and I would just want to get back in that truck and get back on the road and roll. And maybe it's the steroids. You know, I'm coming off the steroids, and I'm finding that I have way less energy. And I'm having some other issues that are a result of the Entivio. You know, I'm not going to go into it, but, you know, I'm having to work around some other issues that are bothering me, not to the point where I'm willing to stop it, taking Entivio, but there's definitely some side effects. So I think in another month and a half, I'll be completely weaned off of the steroids. And man, I tell you what, I can feel it. I have zero energy. So anyway, I have one cut out for this little knife. And that's another thing, you know, if you don't do something every day, you sort of lose your knack, your touch. And I'm afraid this isn't going to fit because I have this little finger guard here, and I don't know if I made enough room for it in here. We'll see. I'm going to make this one sheath, and then I'm going home. And I'm just, maybe tomorrow, if I can just make one sheath, you know, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 more days, I'll have, you know, all the sheaths made. Okay, let me do a little work on this. All right, I pushed on through. I'm about 2/3 of the way done. I'm gonna let this dry for about 15 minutes or so. And I mean, I'm talking about the glue. And then I'll start sewing. And I've already tried the knife in it. It fits, so alrighty. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. We'll get through the day. Alrighty. I like those little pins. I'm glad I found them. And I'm glad I blunted the tips because they work just fine. Okay, the knife fits. I'm going to do a little bit of a black fade on it, just a little bit for the edge. I mean, probably right up to the stamping. Okay, Let me get that done, and then we can go home. Okay. I like it. I like it. That come out nice. I started off not wanting to make a sheath, and about halfway into it, after I got the stamping done, I felt pretty good about making a sheath. So I sure do like the fades. I think this is probably my favorite color. And what color was that? Just a regular old tan, nothing special. Okay, it's a little knife, cute little knife. Let me pull it out of here. Let's say it's, well, no, I got a ruler right here. Let me get the ruler out. About 6.5 inches overall. The blade is about 3 1/4. Nice little knife. And its brand is, now I figured this out one other time, 81X EC, Solingen, Germany, EC. Let me stop this and Google that. I had to do this one other time, and I've already forgot who EC is. I'll be right back. Okay, I remember. Actually, I didn't remember. I looked it up, and I remember where I found the information, and that was on eBay. So it is EC Simmons, and they are part of a company called, or maybe this was the nickname for their knives, Keen Cutter, KEENKUTTER. So that's what we got. All right. I'll take $75 for this. Anybody's interested, and have no fear. If I don't sell any of these knives, I plan on going to the gun and knife show in Bossier City whenever it comes around, if I've got all these knives ready. So $75 and $10 shipping. If you're interested, let me know. bctruck@gmail.com. That's my email and my PayPal address. Have a good one. Sorry I went on so long. It bothers me terribly to know that the second these people put a badge on, your lives become worth far less than theirs. And on what planet do you get to kill somebody who is not armed, is 20 feet from you, poses you no threat, and he told her, I'm going to shoot you right in the face, and he used a whole bunch of, bad language. And the lady had a pot of boiling water that she took off the stove because it was boiling. And they were actually the ones that called her attention to the fact that her water was boiling. So she went and she turned the stove off, and she picked the pot up and moved it. And the guy thought she was going to throw. I mean, there was nothing that would make him think that she was calm and cooperative, and then all of a sudden gonna throw a pot of boiling water on him 20 feet across the room. So she set the water down. This is all, you can watch this video. It's his own body camera showing her setting the water down and saying, I'm sorry. And then she says, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And that's when he killed her. So I just can't stop thinking about it, because we now have a nation of trigger-happy rogue cops. And, that's as good as it gets. If something bad happens to you, or you're, trying to fend off people breaking into your house, I think the last thing you want to do is call the cops. Not long ago, I had 2 cops show up at my frickin' house over a raccoon Facebook meme. You know about that. I was blown away. As much as I do to avoid coming in contact with badges. I put a Facebook meme up of a guy holding a baby raccoon, and what I wrote on it was, oh look, I found a kitten in the backyard. Anybody want this? And the Fish and Game people showed up at my frickin' house over a meme. Can you believe it? That's the kind of cops we have nowadays. Okay, I'm going home.